Our first poet for this segment is Catherine Camarado. She was born and resides in Ellensburg. She is a circus performer, journalist, poet, student in the psychology philosophy departments at CWU. She's lead editor of The Observer. Camarado volunteers for the nonprofit organization Northwest Expressive Arts Response and helps organize community events centered around poetry, song, and dance. Please help me welcome Catherine Camarado.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I just want to say a special thank you to especially all the descendants that came, but all of the people that are here joining us tonight, celebrating womanhood with us, and all of the great women that came before us. You know, it's a real honor to be a part of an event with so many beautiful poets. So thanks for having me. Thank you, Gallery One, and to Monica as well, but to Marie Marchand, thank you so much for having me. So I wrote a couple poems about the gender divide and maybe how I envision that came about and how I envision it might evolve in the future. Why wouldn't I want to be a man? If it always feels like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, since the dawn of time, our kind has strived to birth and feed, yet we were starving with unfed minds underneath the burdened teat, wondering why we couldn't work or scream or vote or read. Simply a vessel, a hollow body, with no more purpose but to fulfill a need for control, for greed. We possess the magic of nurturing, of truth-bearing, of wearing trauma like a white flag cloaking us. Why wouldn't I want to be a man? If when a man speaks, the floor parts ways for him like the seas, while the end of my sentences oft fade to a squeak in the presence of those who will never know the pain of fertility. Those who would not exist without it, yet cast it aside because we like to cry out loud. There are worse things than crying out loud. Why wouldn't I want to be a man? When he isn't groped for existing, when he doesn't have to justify his intelligence, when he is expected to be talented, while when she is talented, it's some oddity or rare surprise. Why wouldn't I want to be a man? I ask myself this often while embodying my most masculine side, hoping for survival among fruitless trees. Walking upon the backs of women like Karen Horney, who let Freud know, we don't want to be him. We want the same access to success that he had. And when we say something, we want to be believed. The truth is, I would not want to be a man, more than I may already be one, because womanhood is fortitude, without needing to prove it or hold on to it in fragility. Why wouldn't I want to be a man? Because I love being a woman. This one's called Femme in Unity. Rooted by the very strands that teach us resilience, the footsteps of femininity before us in an ever-evolving landscape, where lines are blurred and new meaning finds its way to words. One flower blooming while another wilts until the growth of one another is the growth of others still. Can equality be real? Is there space for mutual respect and understanding to heal divided lines? Similarity is the foundation of even the most heightened discord, the back and forth. As one tear is shed, so do many more fall. Even when we're safe inside from the storm, you feel the effects of its rage when happiness seems to evade some more easily than others. Some seem like they're always running away, hiding to stay alive and awake, while others loom overhead, hunter to the prey, disgruntled by the fray of what it means to say no, to stay brave in a world manufactured by separation. A link of solidarity weaves through our ribs and out through the heart, a beacon, a magnet to these stories of the concrete the flower broke through to reveal herself to the light, despite the man-made plight of concrete. The need to fight or own, to abandon emotion, dissolved into the tangled web of roots, rooted, from which all origin is created, a womb of life connecting us all. To be cherished, like the mother of dawn, like the mother of all fathers. Thank you.
Our next reader is Javier Cavazos. Javier is the author of 3 award-winning poetry collections, Barbarian at the Gate, Diamond Grove Slave Tree, and The Devil's Workshop. Cavazos is a senior poetry editor for Poetry Northwest. Help me welcome Javier Cavazos.
I just want to say, first of all, what an amazing night. Let's applaud the poets so far. Oh my God! Oh my God! Okay, so we're going to do a little fun game. Sam, I see you. Okay, roll those dice, Sam. These are from one of my good friend Taylor Molly made some, he's trying to make some money, and he made metaphor dice, and this is his game.
My heart is an unspoken blessing.
My heart is an unspoken blessing, which is to say, when I meet your mom, she's gonna cry. Jumpa?
Your mother is a reluctant mirror.
Your mother is a reluctant mirror, which is to say, you have to handle her with care and be careful of all of the sharp, broken edges. Catherine?
The truth is a well-worn bullseye.
The truth is a well-worn bullseye, which is to say, never turn on Fox News. Where's the last set? Where's the Jen?
My passion is a backhanded wonder.
My passion is a backhanded wonder, which is to say, never give me keys to your apartment.
All right, now next is Sarita Gupta. Sarita is a teacher, writer, editor, playwright, and poet. She taught English in elementary and middle school, wrote a storybook and textbooks for children, and edited a magazine. She also writes plays and musicals for children and composes poetry and songs, and she is currently the chairperson of the Northwest Expressive Arts Response nonprofit here in Ellensburg. Please help me welcome Sarita Gupta.
My first poem is called Zephyr, which means a gentle breeze. Like a zephyr cools you gently on a hot summer's day, you don't see me, but you feel me in the subtlest of ways. I'm the gentle voice of reason in a heated argument. I'm that hidden memory in an evocative scent. I'm that cool, caressing touch on your flushed, embarrassed cheek. I'm that sympathetic smile on the worst day of your week. I'm the hand that helps you up when you fall or fail a test. I'm the nudge that pushes you to do your very best. I'm the tone of understanding in the voice of a good friend. I'm the gladness in the day that you wish would never end. I'm that murmured endearment that takes you by surprise. I'm that look of adoration in your beloved's eyes. I'm that odd, erratic beat that your racing heart skips. I'm the gentlest little kiss from your lover's loving lips. I'm the unexpected magic in most ordinary things, like the blessed coolness carried on a zephyr's gentle wings. My next poem is called Courage. It was written at a rather difficult time in my life. So it's courage. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to face it squarely. Courage is not always flamboyant, like diving off a cliff. It is sometimes quiet, like facing the loss of a loved one and going on, one breath at a time. It is putting grief and fear aside to focus on what has to be done. It is finding that tiny bit of strength to carry on every time you think you've exhausted it. It is opening your heart to love again, even though it quails at the fear of loss. And my last poem is called An Ode to the Seasoned Woman, which I thought would be appropriate. I wrote this 2 years ago on Women's Day. So, An Ode to the Seasoned Woman. You look in the mirror, and who do you see? A middle-aged woman. Gosh, that can't be me. But those wrinkles and lines marking your face are signs of a life lived fully with grace. Each line tells a story, each wrinkle a tale of times you've succeeded and times that you failed. But picked yourself up and pushed yourself on, holding fast to your courage when it was all but gone. You battle the currents, you deal with the waves and the men in your life, whether gallants or knaves. You fulfill all your roles, those of daughter and wife, sister, mother, colleague, friend, all through your life. Your lines, shape, and gray hair are badges you've earned of the life that you've lived and the lessons you've learned. So on this Women's Day, what I urge you to do is to hold your head high and be proud to be you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarita. Our next reader is Nan Doolittle. Nan is a licensed mental health counselor and the founder and executive director of Northwest Expressive Arts Response, a nonprofit based in Ellensburg. The organization provides mental health counseling supported by the expressive arts modalities, including visual arts, movement, music, writing, and theater, to individuals, families, and communities regionally and throughout the nation. Please help me welcome Nan Doolittle.
In early October, actually mid-October, Marie was leading a nature poetry walk in the Cowiche Canyon, which is west of Yakima. 6 days before, a man named Saul Neely was hiking up in Menashtesh, and he had a medical event, and he passed on. He was in his late 40s and left a family here in Ellensburg. He was the chair of English at Heritage University. That day, we hiked a little bit, and we stopped by a stream in the canyon in Cowiche, and we each wrote a poem. There were about 5 or 6 of us, and I wrote one for Saul Neely. This is called Cherokee in Cowiche for Saul. Dusk, 6 nights ago, you were gone. The views wept as the stories of the ridge sighed under autumnal stars. Below, in the chilled sleeping valley, dark lights came on as news followed the moon across the land you loved. 6 days passed, morning echoes textured voices of creek and stillness. You come in every breath, sage, oak, damp burned earth. As far as I can see, you move among golden grasses, your name in every grain.
Our next reader Rita, Jampa Dorjic, aka Richard Detter, was born in California in 1941. He's a graduate of the University of Alaska Fairbanks. Having been the proprietor of Four Winds Bookstore and Cafe in Ellensburg for many years, he moved to Colorado in 2008 to complete a traditional Tibetan 3-year retreat. Known as an eccentric poet, monk, scholar, he is presently Ellensburg's arts treasure. Please help me welcome Jampa Dorjic.
Abandoned in a fiery labyrinth, my sisters dance to a pagan song and hold each other until the young moon goes down and lays upon a cloud rack. Solentium et infinita in God's hands. I travel forward on the path covered with ash, soliditas et enigmata. No one knows why I did not lose my faith. Such sublime feelings, my mere utterances are music, obscura et luminous, holding you in thrall with their magic. Risking the boundary. There's somewhere I want to go, and so I cruise the limits of the visible. I feel the barrier, weird yet familiar to my touch. Is this a warning? A car burns beside the road where I meet the guardians of the way, an old woman throwing bones in the dust, a young man rolling stones on a board. Who are you? He asks. Elven queen, white witch, she who has trouble making up her mind. If I pass, I know I cannot return, but what more can I lose? The wind carries me. I change. I have no eyes. I have no sex. I dance to the rhythm of the stars, a dance that is older than love. Eurydice awaits Orpheus in hell. The distance he must go is further than a poem drips in either world. I hope he thinks ahead and brings 3 coins and extra honey cakes. Harpy claws will likely pluck his guts and turn our love to carrion on the winding stair. Even so, I know there'll be triumph and tenderness in his last look.
Our next reader is Corey Eberhardt, who graduated from Ellensburg High School in 1974. She earned both a BA and a Bachelor's in Education from CWU and her MFA from the University of Oregon. She's taught in public schools, volunteered with community nonprofits, restored manual typewriters, and practiced the corresponding art of letter writing. Please help me welcome Corey Eberhardt.
This is called Field of Windrows. It appears lumpy, the field where windrows lie, bleached pale in July, dried by corn tassel winds under the 7th month's moon that coincides with Bob and Jane's first anniversary. Tiny ants were trapped in her dress between the under satin and outer lace layers. She discovers them while posing for wedding photographs in a Mount Hood meadow. Rattle and bump, the baler drolls along, and the farmer wears headphones. Would that he listens to tunes, talks, language lessons. Bales cast long shadows west in the morning sun, zenith far off. Today dawned with a little dew, cooler than past days. The wind has picked up too, no turning, swathing, dried and baled, except that patch of tarweed. And what are you going to do about those thistles, the farmer asks. Find one to speak of hay quality, holes in a tarp during strawberry rains, some bales black and heat up with spore, laid and rot. Shake out a flake, no horse can eat it, compost starter. I shall take a new bale from the field, my Sherman big blue bunch grass, overseeded, depleted alfalfa field, and feed that to my horses until he returns to pick up this harvest to haul the bales away. The farmer's a farmer, sure, as well as school principal, church deacon, husband, and father. He's a rancher with cattle and a yard of old equipment that he does not trust anyone else to use. He knows machine language, he sweet talks it, keeps engines running with salvaged parts. His boys have grown and gone. His girls help him carry on, changing sprinkler sets, thinking about their futures off the farm. Baling done, no dawdling, to the next chore on a dawn to dark list. He drives past the house again. Did haying this rank field justify the fuel, hours of labor and wearisome wear? How can this pencil out for his own hungry cows and calves when drought dries up the creeks and his pastures turn to dust? Value to me in removing tinder from around the house in case of fire sparked from forest land or steep step canyon, lightning caused or man-made conflagrations with their orange-red gloom reflected in the rising forest fire moon, followed by July smoke heavily trapped from valley floor to ridge tops. Too many in harm's way homes tucked amongst the timber of the Simcoe Mountains, without defensible space, no clearing broad enough to turn back colossal walls of party-crashing flames. A deputy sheriff was parked at the turnoff for Woodburn Road after the last fire evacuation. Sergeant assigned him to establish a police presence there to keep the riffraff out. He drives his wife's car going home, past my house where I am with the dogs out by the road. Being neighborly, he stops to chat. The deputy wears his wife's sunglasses, maroon frames, purple tinted lenses, and curly Q ornaments on the stems. If I were any more or any less of a criminal, he would put me completely at ease. When Jane married Bob, she wore her mother's wedding dress, waistline adjusted. They had dallied on the coast under clear skies, breathing ocean air beneath another full moon aptly called the seed moon, the egg moon, the awakening moon, the pink moon for a baby girl. Thank you.
Our next reader is Joanna Thomas, who is the author of the chapbooks Bluebird and 8 blur-cut sonnets. Her poem, Silver Shallow Ripple, was selected by Rena Priest for inclusion in the anthology I Sing the Salmon Home. Please help me welcome Joanna Thomas.
Joey!
Good evening. You know, a woman could take a year to build a cedar canoe in a room of her own, but first she'd need to gather a random orbital sander and a router and a circular saw with a jig and a really thin curved blade. Instead, she might choose to take the God's eye point of view and write the initial draft to a novel she would later title Peace and War. Or compose a sonata with notes graceful as moonlight shining on Lake Lucerne. Or sprout her first pair of antlers like a buck fawn and rub her velvet tines against a laurel tree in a mythic forest, where she might foresee, given an hour of unfettered thought, the invention of rope and learn to avoid being led from open pasture like a yearling filly newly broke to halter. Somewhere, a virgin queen chews through the lid of her cell and emerges damp-winged and bright-eyed, the hairless back of her thorax black and shiny as a boot. She's ready to stab to death her sisters and then take a bevy of handsome lovers to bed in midair. Blue Phlox extends its fragrant carpet from here to the full pink moon of April, round as La Dolce Vita. Oh, such soft-bodied things, manipulating with their mouths warm wax into honeycombs, the hum of ancient orchards, a ring of petals forming an inner envelope for each blossom. Freddie Mercury, tasting royal jelly made from nectar and pollen like it's a night at the opera. Look, Queen Anne's lace, luring bees to its flat umble. The mezzo-soprano, supposedly too fat to fly.
Our next reader is Catherine Whitcomb. She's the author of 5 collections of poems, including The Daughter's Almanac and Habitats. She's the co-author of the faux self-help book, The Art Courage Program. She is a distinguished professor at Central Washington University. Please help me welcome Catherine Whitcomb.
I'm not used to being out among the people these days, but I'm giving it a try. So this is called Remembering Paris. It's from my book Habitats. It's not what it sounds like. The diphthong rosette is just one rosette on a high-ceiling palm tree. The whole bulk used to be a national mirage. We're eavesdroppers out for a fandango luncheon on vaccine, so happy. I lumberjack in here, not just with retakes, but with parodies where I wrestle every moment. Inside us, strings with small carcinogens, a held togetherness of lighter explosions. Outside, beautiful woods climate quickly. Women walk on cobblestones, their half-lives billowing, their scarves and half-lives billowing. The finesse of presumption. I think our best dreams are those few we remember without pictures or prompt, just talking. When my wilderness asks me, what did we manifest there again? Oh, that's right. It was packages of Jules on our plates. Yes, we had the ozone layer with sanctuary, cool on warm, like remembering.
Our next reader, I keep saying Rita, Maya Rita, Jumpa Rita, Jumpa Rita. Okay. Our next reader is Maya Jules Zeller. She's the author of the interdisciplinary collaboration Alchemy for Cells and Other Beasts, the poetry collections Yesterday the Bees and Rust Fish, as well as the co-editor of the anthology Evergreen, Grim Tales and Fables from the Gloomy Northwest. She's Associate Professor of English for CWU, and it was just announced last week that, I'm adding this part, that Maya is the winner of the 2022 New American Poetry Prize, a national prize. So congratulations.
So this, I'm just going to read one poem. You've been a beautiful crowd and done a lot of attention giving and waiting. And if you are like me or like many, many women in our lives, you've done a lot of waiting, right? Waiting is a big part of our lives. You have to wait. You're told to wait, 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 wait. So this poem is called The Waiting, and it's if you've ever grown impatient. The Waiting. It was not the hour of red-flecked birds. It was not the hour of wood smoke. It was not the hour of the exquisite chirping of trees. It was not the hour of ice cream, guitar, or warm bricks, ice skating, of neon celebration. This was no hour for a child. I put on my mask and walked into the mountain. I pushed right through the stone. I wore a necklace of furred insects, emerged in a forest, stepped into a boat. I rocked inside with seismic proportions. I drew a knife from my belly, plundered the lake. I put on my wolf head, my girl arms, my quiver of bodies. I put on my blood, and it put me on. I was a scrub grub, a cold bug, a sharp blade, a self reaching into a self, a whole. It was my hour of fluttering hands, hands like wings, hands like a red streak. The red streak was me. There were no birds. The trees sang a dirge. I dipped my head into the bile, pulled it up with my name like a tongue clenched between my teeth. Thank you.
I have one poem, and yes, and then we can conclude. And let's see. So this poem is very special to me because it was written for the CWU Chamber Choir and Dr. Nicole Martine, who is here tonight, and it was performed by the choir in December. And I had been our community is really lucky to have her leading the choir. I was a fangirl when she was in Wyoming, and now she's here, and so when I found out, I wrote this poem. It's called Witnesses of Dawn. There's a thread of connection between us that glows in the shape of a circle, beginningless and endless. So deep it contains our collective fears and dreams, so luminous astronauts can see it from space. They sit at the space station looking out the window and remark, there's that person again, persisting and resisting, creating beauty out of struggle. And they become your cheerleaders without you even knowing it. When they see storm clouds swirling over you, they aren't surprised when you emerge even brighter than before. There they go again, the astronauts say about you, shining like the dawn. Darkness has something to teach us, lessons that can be painful to learn. But there's nurturance in darkness too. In its silence, we hear echoes of our many layered selves. In its emptiness, we glean the vastness of being. Cleansed by the darkness, we enter the light, eager to engage, eager to create. We walk into the day as whole people, not resentful of the darkness, but grateful. Not weighed down by the journey, but grateful. We emerge wisdom keepers, peace seekers. In the darkness, we begin to heal. In the light, as witnesses of dawn, we help others to heal. The astronauts are outside in their spacesuits now fixing a solar panel. A flare catches their attention. A shooting star, a comet with its tail on fire. They look down and see it's you, walking down the street, taking up the space that is rightfully yours, filling every step with a light so bright it's a beacon beyond worlds. Yes, pain is part of your story, but so too is this, the brave persistence of your illumination.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here and listening to poetry, and thank you to the descendants for joining us, and to all the women past and present who inspire us and give birth to us and love us. So thank you so much for being here.